Don't forget to go to ashkicking.com for pound the best home health and beauty fragrance products.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Yes, sir. Let me dig into your brain.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Manny Pacquiao's own promoter, Bob Arum, he had a lot to say, or some really interesting things to say about the fight. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and quote exactly what Bob Arum had to say. There's an argument for the fight being 7-5 Manny. The 11th round was sort of close. I thought Manny gave away early rounds. Could it have been 7-5 for Manny? Yeah, but you can't argue with the result. End quote. You know, coincidentally, Bob Arum, he almost said word for word exactly what Errol Spence and Jamel Charlo's trainer Derek James just said in an interview that he just did with me the other day. You guys could check that interview out on my channel if you haven't already watched it. So even people on Manny Pacquiao's own team, Bob Arum, Manny Pacquiao's promoter, he did not see this as a robbery. He sees it as a very close fight that could have went either way. You know, a lot of these trainers, boxers, promoters that are talking about this fight, if you notice, when they talk about this fight, they give you a breakdown of what actually took place in the fight. Like Derek James, for example, he was extremely thorough. He said, you know, Manny Pacquiao, he lost a lot of the earlier rounds. The first 6 rounds, you could say he lost. It could have went, some of those rounds could have went either way. He talked about Jeff Horn backing Manny Pacquiao up into the ropes and Pacquiao not doing anything but blocking. Same thing Paulie Malignaggi said. Now you hear Bob Arum saying that Manny Pacquiao, he gave up some of those early rounds. But when you hear these fans say this was just a straight robbery, that's all they say. They give you no breakdown. They don't really give you a thorough rebuttal. It's just, it was a robbery, which kind of sounds more like a political type of response. When you can't articulate with substance. This is exactly what I said in my reaction video. I said it wasn't a robbery. The fight could have went either way. It was a very close fight. And by the way, I need to actually go back and watch this fight again, because when I was watching the fight the first time, I was doing some live commentary and I never really went back and watched it. I need to go back and watch it. I do agree with Derek James and Bob Arum and Paulie Malignaggi when they say that Manny Pacquiao, he gave up a lot of the earlier rounds. Even the rounds he didn't give up, they were so close they could have went either way, those first 6 rounds. And then, after Jeff Horn got hurt real bad in the 9th round, he came back, and it could be argued that you can give him 1 or 2 rounds after the 9th round. Some of those championship rounds were extremely close. Like Derek James said the other day, they were both throwing and they were both missing a lot of punches. So this was a really, really close fight. And deep down, these fans, they know that this was a close fight. They know it wasn't a robbery. But you see, this is all political. They have to say that because this is not really so much about Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn. This is more about Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather's legacy, right? Because a lot of these fans, they feel that the worse Manny Pacquiao looks, the better Floyd Mayweather looks. That's how they feel deep down in their heart. And we know this is true because every video I do about this, someone mentions Floyd Mayweather's name. This fight had nothing to do with Floyd, but they continue to mention his name. I mean, come on, let's just really think about it. Do you think if Floyd Mayweather just lost to Jeff Horn right now, do you think any of these fans will be saying that was a robbery? Of course not. It would be the biggest celebration in decaf history, wouldn't it? And I say decaf history because the majority of fans are casual fans, emotionally attached, ignorant fans. And they're not used to too many commentators or too many boxers, promoters actually speaking the truth regardless of how you take it. They're not used to this. This is a new thing for them that really kind of started a couple years ago, around the time that I and a couple other people started to tell the truth when it comes to boxing, when it comes to decisions in boxing, when it comes to double standards in boxing, etc., etc., etc. You guys get the point. So, this is the only reason why you hear fans say that. They have to say that this was a robbery because that's a way for them to psychologically save face. But when people like Bob Arum is corroborating with the most logical perspective, it makes it pretty difficult to argue that this was a robbery. Now, some people will say, oh, well, what about Bob Arum? He's co-promoting, because there's reports that he's co-promoting Jeff Horn. But that doesn't make a difference because Bob Arum, he was promoting Tim Bradley and Manny Pacquiao. In that first fight, Bob Arum, he said that he thought Manny Pacquiao won the fight. He thought it was a robbery. But he's not saying that when it comes to the Jeff Horn fight. And once again, he's going into further detail by saying Manny Pacquiao gave away, some of those early rounds, which is very similar to what Derrick James said. I mean, you heard Bob Arum say it could be argued that Manny Pacquiao won 7-5, but it could have went either way. Something else you have to ask yourself: what motive would the judges have to just give Jeff Horn the fight? And certainly, what motive would they have if they gave Jeff Horn the fight in a close decision? We already know those first 6 rounds were close. We already know Jeff Horn, he won a lot of those rounds. We already know that. So what's their motive? Is their motive that they're all from Australia, where Jeff Horn is from? No, that couldn't be their motive because the judges weren't from Australia. They were from America. So what would be the motive? And once again, why would the rounds be close? Because if you were trying to rob someone, you can't have the rounds that close, because what if Manny Pacquiao just all of a sudden starts completely dominating the last couple of rounds? Now you're forced to give Manny Pacquiao those rounds and he still wins the fight. Once again, they had the fight 7-5, which Bob Arum is okay with. And think about this too. Bob Arum, he wanted to make Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford. Bob didn't want to make this Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn fight. Bob has been saying in numerous interviews previously that he wants to make Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford. Like I told you guys plenty of times before, I talked to top rank employees that are very high in the stable, and they told me the night we were watching Crawford versus Postal, if Crawford wins this fight, Pacquiao versus Crawford is next. And I said to this person, because I knew Manny wasn't going to want to take that fight, I said, but how do you know Manny will take a fight like that? How are you sure he'll take that fight? And this guy, he assured me, he looked at me and said, oh, he'll take it. He'll take it. Trust me, he'll take it. Well, my man, whenever you bring up Pacquiao's name, that's the last time I trust you with him fighting someone like a Terrence Crawford. That's for damn sure. So that's pretty much all I got, man. Once again, people know deep down that this is not a robbery. They have to say that because the only thing that's on their mind is Floyd Mayweather. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.